Why do we wake up every morning? Most of us begin our day without much thought. We get out of bed, reach for our phones, check messages, scroll through news feeds, and start running the race of the day. But what if we began with a different question? Asterisk, why am I waking up? Asterisk, not just what we need to do, but why we're doing any of it at all. That question changes everything. When we start our day with that deeper purpose in mind, it leads us to a natural truth. If we want to live with intention, we need to seek God first. God is not an afterthought. He is not something we add to our day if we find the time. He is the foundation from which everything else should rise. And if we truly believe that, then seeking Him in the morning is not optional. It's essential. Starting with why means asking what we are living for, what we are driven by, and who we are becoming. And the answer to those questions is not found in a calendar or a task list. It's found in the quiet stillness where we meet God at the start of the day. When we wake up and immediately turn to distractions, we're not just filling our time, we're shaping our hearts. The first thing we reach for in the morning reveals what we believe is most important. And over time, that habit forms our mindset. That's why seeking God first is about more than just prayer or devotion. It's about returning to our source. It's about beginning with the why so that everything else in our day has meaning beyond the surface. Living with purpose starts with being rooted. And being rooted means knowing not just what to do, but why we're doing it. Without that, we drift. We make decisions reactively. We run hard but never feel fulfilled. And we wake up day after day wondering why we still feel lost even when everything looks fine on the outside. That's what happens when we start with the what instead of the why. But when we start by seeking God, we begin from a place of clarity. We remember that our lives are not random. We're not just here to meet deadlines, pay bills, and keep up. We are created with purpose, designed with intention, and invited into relationship with the Creator of all things. That truth realigns us. It lifts our eyes from the urgent to the eternal. It puts the chaos of life into perspective. Starting with why changes how we see success, how we face struggle, and how we treat others. It makes us less reactive and more grounded. It quiets anxiety and awakens trust. It reminds us that we are not in control of everything, and we don't need to be. Because the one we seek in the morning already holds the day in His hands. When we choose to seek God first, we're not just practicing a spiritual habit. We are placing our identity in something unshakable. We're saying that before we step into the demands of the world, we want to be filled by something deeper than ambition or fear. We want to be reminded of who we are not in the eyes of others, but in the eyes of the one who made us. We live in a world that's constantly pushing us to achieve more, prove more, and hustle harder. But the real power comes not from striving, but from centering. When we seek God, we are reorienting our entire being. We are setting a foundation that everything else can be built on. We are declaring that the why of our lives is not found in the noise, but in the quiet presence of the one who gives us breath. In a culture that constantly tells us we are what we do, what we achieve, or how we appear, it's easy to lose sight of where our true identity lies. From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with messages that push us to prove our worth on social media, in our jobs, in our relationships. We're told to work harder, look better, earn more, be more, but that's a fragile foundation. Because when our identity is tied to performance, it will rise and fall with every success and failure. That's why we need something deeper, something unshakable. And that's why our identity must be rooted in God, not in performance. When we know who we are in God, we're no longer defined by what we can produce or how others perceive us. We are free from the endless pressure to earn approval. We are no longer chasing validation in every task or interaction. Instead, we begin with the truth that we are already seen, known, and loved by the one who created us. That truth reframes everything. It doesn't mean we stop working hard or pursuing excellence. It means we no longer do it from a place of insecurity or fear. We do it from a place of peace, knowing our value is already secure. Performance-based identity is exhausting. It traps us in a cycle where we constantly ask, am I good enough? Did I do enough? What will they think? It keeps us running even when we're tired, saying yes when we want to say no, and pretending everything is fine when we're breaking inside. It creates a version of ourselves that is constantly performing, constantly pleasing, constantly proving. And in the process, we lose sight of who we truly are. But when our identity is rooted in God, everything changes. We begin to live from a deeper confidence. We don't need to manufacture worth. It's already given. We're not waiting for the world to affirm us. We're standing in the affirmation of our Creator. This kind of identity allows us to walk into every room, every challenge, every opportunity with the assurance that we don't have to earn love or success. We carry it with us. This doesn't mean we stop caring about growth or goals. It means we know why we're doing it. We're no longer working to be loved. We're working asterisk from asterisk love. We're no longer desperate to impress. We're committed to serve. We're not paralyzed by criticism or inflated by praise. We're anchored in something greater. That kind of identity makes us resilient. It gives us the courage to keep going when results don't come quickly, and the humility to stay grounded when they do. Rooting our identity in God also changes how we see others. When we're not caught in comparison or competition, we can genuinely celebrate people. We can lead without ego, love without agenda, and serve without needing recognition. Because we know our worth isn't being threatened by someone else's success. We've already been given everything we need. It also gives us freedom. When performance no longer defines us, we can take risks. We can be honest. We can admit when we're weak or uncertain. We don't have to hide behind a mask or a title. We can show up as we are, flawed, growing real, because our identity isn't on the line. It's already settled. It's already spoken. When our identity is rooted in God, we live differently. We lead differently. We think, speak, and act from a place of security, and that kind of life isn't just more peaceful. It's more powerful because it's not based on what we do, it's based on who God says we are. The way we begin our morning holds more weight than we often realize. It's not just about what time we wake up or how productive we are in the first hour. It's about what we choose to focus on before the rest of the world enters our minds. The morning sets the tone for the entire day. It shapes our attitude, our mental clarity, our spiritual posture, and even the way we respond to challenges. When we start the day with noise, pressure, and distractions, we often carry that same energy into every interaction, every task, and every decision we face. But when we begin with intention, with stillness, and with a focus on God, we step into the day already anchored. Every day begins with a choice. Before the meetings, before the plans, before the stress, there is a sacred moment when we decide what gets our attention first. And whatever we give our attention to will influence the state of our heart. Reaching for our phones, diving into social media, checking emails. These are habits that seem harmless, but they prime our minds for distraction and comparison before we've even left our beds. But seeking God first in the morning reorients us. It slows us down long enough to remember what truly matters. It reminds us that before the demands of the world come rushing in, there is a higher voice, a deeper truth, and a greater purpose waiting to meet us. The morning is not just the start of our schedule, it's the foundation of our mindset. If we begin with anxiety, that anxiety colors how we interpret every inconvenience. If we begin with gratitude and perspective, that lens carries into how we interact with others, how we face setbacks, and how we navigate the unexpected. Starting with God centers us in something eternal before we face what is temporary. It helps us view our responsibilities not as burdens, but as opportunities. It strengthens our patience, clarifies our priorities, and infuses our efforts with purpose. There's also a quietness in the morning that's hard to find later in the day. Before the noise builds, before the urgency sets in, the early hours are a gift. They offer space to listen, reflect, and be reminded that we are not in control, and that's okay. In those moments, God speaks to us. not always with dramatic signs or loud declarations, but with a gentle reminder, "You are mine and I am with you." That reminder shifts the entire atmosphere of our day. It moves us from striving to trusting, from chaos to calm, from pressure to presence. When we seek God in the morning, we're not checking off a religious duty. We're tuning our hearts to the frequency of His voice so that, when the noise of life rises, we know how to stay aligned. We're preparing ourselves not just to do things, but to be someone. Someone rooted, grounded, and ready to lead with integrity and grace. We're not waking up just to survive the day. We're waking up to walk with the one who guides us through it. It's also about consistency. One intentional morning may not change everything overnight, but over time, those moments compound. They build a rhythm, a habit, a relationship. And that consistency creates transformation, not by force, but by presence. It creates a lifestyle where God isn't just part of your Sunday or your crisis, but part of your everyday starting with the very first breath you take in the morning. We underestimate the power of beginnings, but beginnings set direction. A ship that adjusts its course by just a few degrees will find itself in a completely different destination over time. In the same way, choosing to seek God first, choosing to fill your mind with His truth instead of the world's noise, shifts your course. It might not seem dramatic at first, but day after day, it builds a life marked by purpose, peace, and power that doesn't come from performance but from presence. In a world that measures value by output and rewards constant activity, it's easy to believe that productivity is the highest virtue. We build systems around getting more done in less time. We chase efficiency, and we celebrate busyness as a badge of honor. But the truth is, presence with God outweighs productivity without Him. It's not that productivity is wrong, it's that it becomes empty when it's disconnected from the one who gives it meaning. We can fill every hour of our day with tasks, meetings, and accomplishments, and still feel restless at the end of it. Because, without God's presence, even the most impressive achievements can leave us hollow. There's a subtle danger in equating movement with progress. Just because we're busy doesn't mean we're becoming who we're meant to be. Activity without alignment is motion without direction. And when we live this way for too long, we begin to drift. We work harder, we push faster, and yet we feel more distant from peace, more disconnected from our purpose. That's the cost of prioritizing productivity over presence. It's not that we don't get things done, it's that we lose ourselves in the doing. God's presence is not an interruption to our progress, it's the very source of it. When we begin our day seeking Him, we are not wasting time, we are investing it. We are inviting clarity into our confusion, strength into our weakness, and wisdom into our decisions. It's in that quiet space that we remember we are not machines, we are souls. And souls need more than checklists and deadlines. They need to be fed, guided, and restored by something greater than themselves. There is a difference between being full and being fulfilled. Productivity might fill your calendar, but only presence can fill your spirit. You can check off every item on your to-do list and still go to bed anxious, unsettled, or numb. But when you start with presence, when you make space for God before anything else, you allow your heart to breathe. You begin the day rooted, not rushed. You walk into your responsibilities with focus and peace, not panic and pressure. It's in God's presence that we're reminded of our identity. We're not defined by how much we produce. We're not valuable because of our output. We're valuable because we belong to Him. And when that truth sinks in, it doesn't make us lazy. It makes us bold. We stop working to prove ourselves and start working from a place of confidence. We stop trying to earn our worth and start expressing it through everything we do. Presence also gives perspective. It helps us discern what truly matters in a world that constantly pulls us in every direction. When we spend time with God, we learn how to say no to things that may be good, but not aligned. We learn to prioritize relationships over results, faithfulness over fame, and impact over image. That clarity allows us to make decisions with intention instead of impulse. There's also power in being still. The world tells us to keep moving, keep building, keep striving. But some of the most transformative moments in life come not when we're in motion, but when we're in stillness. In God's presence, we are reminded that the weight of the world is not on our shoulders. We're reminded that rest is not weakness, and that slowing down is not failure. It's in those quiet moments that God speaks, that clarity comes, and that peace takes root deep within us. When we prioritize presence, we live differently. We lead with discernment instead of distraction. We serve with joy instead of resentment. We create from a place of inspiration rather than obligation. And though the world may never applaud stillness, the fruit of it becomes undeniable in how we show up, how we love, and how we endure through the highs and lows of life. Clarity and peace are two things most people search for but rarely hold on to. The world is loud, fast, and constantly changing, and in the middle of all that movement, it's easy to feel confused, overwhelmed, and anxious. Many people look for clarity in planning and for peace in control. They believe that if they can just organize everything perfectly, or if they can just avoid the unexpected, then they will finally be able to rest. But life rarely works that way. Plans change, people disappoint, circumstances shift. That's why clarity and peace don't come from having all the answers or perfect conditions. They come from having a solid foundation, and that foundation is built when we begin with God. When we seek God first, we're not just hoping to feel better. We're stepping into alignment with truth, and truth is what brings clarity. It's what cuts through confusion and noise. God is not the author of chaos or fear. He brings light into darkness, direction into uncertainty, and assurance into every unknown. In His presence, things become clearer, not because all the circumstances change immediately, but because we begin to see from a different perspective. We stop reacting to everything around us and start responding with wisdom and calm. That's what happens when we live from a God-first foundation. The foundation matters because it determines what we stand on when things go wrong. If our peace is built on how others treat us, how well our plans go, or how successful we feel, then it's fragile. The moment something shifts, and it always does, our sense of stability crumbles. But when our peace is anchored in something eternal, it holds steady no matter what's shaking around us. Seeking God daily, especially in the morning, sets that anchor. It reminds us who is in control and who we belong to. It grounds us in something deeper than emotions or headlines or outcomes. Clarity doesn't always mean we know every step ahead. Often, it means we know the next right step. It means we're no longer driven by panic or pressured by urgency. We move with intention because we've been in the presence of the one who sees the whole picture. In a world full of quick decisions and reactive living, clarity is a gift. It keeps us focused, reduces regret, and increases our ability to walk in purpose. But that clarity is rarely found in the noise. It's found in the quiet, in the stillness, in the space we make when we put God first. Peace also shifts how we experience our responsibilities. Instead of carrying stress into every conversation, we bring calm. Instead of being pulled in every direction, we operate from a centered place. That doesn't mean we avoid hard things. It means we walk through them without being consumed. Because when our inner world is at peace, our outer world becomes manageable. Peace doesn't eliminate problems, but it changes how we face them. It strengthens us to lead well, to listen with patience, and to live with grace. We're constantly being formed by what we focus on. If we start the day focused on pressure, comparison, or control, our spirit bends in that direction. But if we start the day focused on God, on His Word, His presence, His voice, then our spirit is shaped by truth. That truth doesn't make us passive. It makes us powerful. It makes us intentional, grounded, and wise. It builds a lens through which we can interpret every challenge and every opportunity. Living from a God-first foundation doesn't mean we'll never feel stress or uncertainty. It means those feelings don't define us. They don't control us. Instead of spiraling, we return to what's solid. We remember that clarity and peace are not things we chase. They're things we receive when we remain connected to the source. That connection starts in the quiet, often before the world even wakes up, when we choose to seek Him first. There's a common belief that time is scarce, and because of that, we often treat time with God as something we'll fit in asterisk if asterisk everything else gets done. We plan meetings, workouts, errands, and calls, and somewhere in the margins, we hope to squeeze in a moment of prayer or a few verses of Scripture. But that mindset reveals a misunderstanding of what time with God actually is. It's not an accessory to our day, it's the anchor of it. The truth is, you don't have time not asterisk to seek God. When life feels busy, chaotic, or overwhelming, that's not the time to delay intimacy with Him. It's the time to double down on it. Many people view quiet time with God as a spiritual luxury, something for slow days, Sundays, or seasons of rest. But the reality is, the busier and more pressured life becomes, the more essential it is to be rooted in something deeper than tasks and schedules. Time with God isn't a passive break from real life. It is real life. It's where direction is received, peace is restored, and priorities are clarified. When we neglect that time, we might gain a few extra minutes in the morning, but we lose the clarity and strength that those minutes would have produced. We often confuse movement with momentum. Just because we're doing a lot doesn't mean we're going in the right direction. Without God, we run faster and accomplish more, but often with less joy and more anxiety. We achieve goals but feel empty. We check boxes but remain unsettled. Seeking God isn't about slowing down progress. It's about making sure we're actually building something that matters. Without Him, we might climb a ladder only to find it's leaning against the wrong wall. When we start the day seeking God, we're not losing time, we're investing it. It's like sharpening an axe before cutting wood. Yes, it takes a moment to prepare, but that preparation makes everything that follows more effective, more intentional, and more sustainable. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing we can't afford the time, that the kids need us, the inbox is full, or the deadline is too close. But skipping time with God doesn't eliminate stress, it increases it. It removes the very peace and clarity we need to face the demands we're rushing toward. We never say we're too busy to eat, drink water, or breathe. That's because we understand that those things are non-negotiable. Time with God needs to be seen the same way. It's not extra, it's essential. Our spiritual health impacts every part of our life, our relationships, our decisions, our mindset, and our ability to handle pressure. When we're spiritually dry, everything else suffers. We react instead of respond. We feel scattered instead of focused. We try to carry burdens we were never meant to carry alone. Time with God isn't about ritual, it's about relationship. It's about aligning our heart with His before the world tries to pull it in 1,000 directions. It's about remembering who He is and who we are in Him. That kind of grounding doesn't take hours. It takes intention. Even a few focused minutes of genuine connection with God can change the trajectory of your entire day. It sets a tone of peace, trust, and awareness that stays with you as you move through your responsibilities. We need to stop viewing time with God as a compartment and start seeing it as the core. It's not something we visit occasionally, it's the place we live from. We're not just inviting Him into our schedule, we're surrendering our schedule to Him. And in doing that, we gain far more than we give. We gain perspective, resilience, wisdom, and strength that can't be replicated anywhere else. There will always be things fighting for your attention, always more to do, always reasons to delay. But in the end, the most productive thing you can do is stay connected to the source of your peace, clarity, and power. When you seek God first, everything else doesn't just fall into place, it falls into proper perspective.